Welcome to my bedroom. I thought this was like a cute little setup. It makes it a little more personal and cozy. Today we are talking about glowing up. I've been wanting to make this video for a while because I tried glowing up for 100 days over the summer/fall time period. I've been told by a lot of family and friends that I give good advice and that I give mature advice. I feel like a lot of people come to me for advice when they have problems or things going on in their lives. So I don't know, maybe other people want to hear my advice. Before I begin, I want to debunk a couple misconceptions about glowing up. First of all, should we look up the definition of glowing up? Define glow up. Google says a glow up is a slang term used to describe a significant transformation, typically in physical appearance, that is perceived as improvement. It is progress of turning yourself into a better version of yourself and becoming more confident, attractive, and successful. That is the internet's definition of glowing up for anyone who was unsure of what a glow up technically was. So, one misconception about glowing up is that a lot of people see it as very surface level, physical, going from ugly to gorgeous. While, yes, your physical appearance is a part of glowing up, I don't think it's the most important part of glowing up at all. I think it's more so about how you feel on the inside and how you carry yourself. If you carry yourself with confidence that you know who you are and it doesn't really matter what anyone says to you, if you feel comfortable in your own skin, the outside stuff is kind of gonna align. If you just focus on the outside stuff and not the inside stuff, things are not gonna align. Unfortunately, you do have to kind of do the difficult internal work in order for the external stuff to stick. Maybe you look really hot and maybe you look great, but if you don't feel great, you're really not glowing up or becoming a better version of yourself. You're just looking the part. Going along with that, another misconception I see about glowing up a lot on social media specifically is that you need to do this makeup or you need to do this outfit or you need to do this exercise or buy this product or buy that product or do this beauty regimen and your life will be perfect and you'll be so beautiful. And that's just not how it works. In my mind, glowing up is not about doing XYZ. It's about learning what fits into your life best, your life specifically. What is going to make you feel good? What's going to make your life better in the long term? A set period of glow up time is a great way to learn about yourself and start implementing good things into your life. So, I tried glowing up for 100 days and I'm kind of going to do an evaluation of that and give you my best glow up advice. Also, before I begin, if some of the advice I give or things that I mention don't resonate with you, totally fine. You can take what resonates with you and leave behind what does not. This is not a set list of things you must do. This is a set list of things you can do. So let's get into it. I had to gather a couple resources before we start just so I can kind of show you my examples of what I did. I'll put that aside for later. My first piece of glow up advice is to start with structure. It can be very tempting to have all these ideas of things you really want to do and pile everything up on day one. This is something that's really hard for me not to do, is to pile everything onto the beginning of the process, but starting with basic structure is really going to benefit you. I suggest to take a day or two and just start planning. Make a list of the things that you're currently lacking in your life and the things that you want to fill your time with. What do you want to do to take care of your physical and mental health? Start very simple by adding these everyday things into your life, like maybe start with a wake up time. Take better care of your hygiene. Get dressed in the morning. Do your skincare consistently. Start with a very basic structure. I know this might sound too easy or too simple, but honestly, the basic structure is sometimes the hardest thing to tackle. It's the hardest hurdle to get over, especially when you first start trying to glow up or become a better version of yourself. If you start off too intense, you might be amazing for a couple days, but you'll probably fall off of it pretty quickly. You'll get burnt out before you even start. I know it's kind of an overused metaphor or analogy, but if you don't have a strong foundation, all the stuff you're going to try to build is just going to sink. You need to have that strong foundation of very basic stuff to be able to build on top of it. So, when you're building your foundation, start very simple. Maybe even less than what your end goal is. For example, start with shorter amounts of time. So, if you want to start cleaning your room and having a clean room, instead of cleaning your room for 20 minutes or cleaning your room for an hour or doing a big deep clean, maybe just start adding 5 minutes of cleaning every day. It's definitely going to be easier to make it a consistent habit that way. 5 minutes a day can really make a huge difference in how clean your room is. So, your first priority should be to build a strong foundational schedule that sticks. I suggest a habit tracker or a daily task list to help you stay on top of things. Let me show you mine. This is what, wait, can you see? I don't know if you can see. I hope you can. This is what my original kind of like glow up planning looked like. It was very messy. It's a very messy list. Then this is what my first habit tracking chart looked like. I really liked this one. It was really easy to use and really fun and cute. However, I realized that this was a lot for me to make every month. Then I created a habit tracking chart on my computer and just printed it out, one for every month. Then, towards the end of my glow up, I had a third format that I tried out, and I printed out these daily lists. I kind of perfected my habit tracking charts and daily lists until I had something that really worked for me. So I kind of like basically curated my perfect habit tracking. My second piece of advice for glowing up kind of builds off of my first piece of advice. It is to reevaluate your structure periodically. Like I just showed you, I had many versions of my habit tracking charts and daily lists. For me, I reevaluate it every month. For you, it might be every week, every couple weeks, but adjust your structure. Take things out, add new things, see what's working for you, what's not working for you. You want to fine tune your basic structure so that it becomes doable for you. For example, I tried to do my hair and my makeup and get dressed and do everything before I went downstairs to have breakfast, and it just never happened. I never got down in time. It took me too long. So I restructured my morning routine and did all of that after I ate breakfast. I just did my simple things like making my bed and washing my face before I went down for breakfast, and then I came back up and got dressed and did my makeup and hair. So, reevaluating your structure periodically is important because it will help you see what's working and what's not working. You don't have to make like this big ideal life structure and stick to it and hound yourself to like do everything every day. If something's not working, change it and keep changing things until eventually you're happy with how your daily routine looks. Then, as you go farther into your glow up, you'll be able to dig a little deeper and focus on some of your more intense struggles. For example, do you want to focus on your confidence, your social skills, your anxiety? What's holding you back? And what can you add into your everyday routine that can help improve these things? Glow up tip number 3 is to experiment. Try new things that you haven't tried before. Do you want to try new beauty regimens, new products, new wellness trends? Like I said in glow up tip number 2, you're eventually going to start digging deeper into your struggles and your goals. So this is a perfect time to start experimenting. Some of the things I tried were drinking lemon water in the morning, which for me was not helpful. It didn't do anything. I tried magnesium gummies to help my anxiety. I tried hair oil and scalp massaging. I tried icing my face. I tried Pilates. I tried wellness shots. The point of exploring new things is to see what fits into your life and what benefits you. A few of the things I tried I liked and now incorporate into my daily life. And a few of the things I tried I didn't really like so much. But now I know that those things are not for me. And honestly, it makes me a little bit more grateful for the things that do serve a purpose in my life. And I'm not always left wondering if my life could be better if I had this thing or that thing or if I implemented that in my life. Glow up tip number 4 is all about your phone and your screen time. My main struggle in glowing up and finding the motivation to do so was my phone. It was the biggest roadblock to becoming the best version of myself. I know a lot of other people really struggle with this, and honestly, I still struggle with it very often. I will pick up my phone in the morning and I'll scroll, and then I don't do my morning routine. I'll pick up my phone at night and then I lose track of time and I just go to bed instead of doing my night routine. Then my sleep schedule gets totally messed up and I feel like trash. My best piece of advice to break this phone addiction is to put your phone across the room when you sleep. If you have to, maybe even put it in another room. Get it out of sight and away from you. That way, when you wake up, the first thing you do in the morning is not pick up your phone. You at least have to get up and walk across the room to get it. At the least, you have to first get up and walk across the room. My therapist suggested this a long time ago, and every time my phone addiction gets really bad and I notice that it's super unhealthy, I always revert back to it because it's literally one of the only things that helps me. Another suggestion is to watch YouTube videos. Instead of being on your phone, put a YouTube video on your TV or your laptop while you're doing your morning or night routines. I know it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but it fills a similar void to social media while also not scrolling on your phone. It's almost like a more productive way to fill that social media void. You want to put on something that you're interested in watching, but you're not like inclined to sit down and watch. You want something in a similar format as social media. I personally suggest putting on day in my life videos, something comforting and motivational. You just need something on as like background noise pretty much. Sometimes at night, if I'm really itching for my phone before bed, I will put on Gilmore Girls and I will scroll through Pinterest on my laptop and light a candle. It's a much more fulfilling way to wind down compared to like scrolling through TikTok. I've seen other suggestions on how to put down your phone, like time limits on apps, making your screen black and white, putting on airplane mode. But those are things that you can easily bypass, and although they may work in the short term, they usually don't work in the long term. At least that's how it's always been for me. And the difference I've noticed is that all of these kinds of things are very focused on your phone. It's more focused on what you can do to dislike being on your phone, so you put it down. But I found that it's more beneficial to turn your focus away from your phone altogether. What kind of stuff can you do outside of that space that will make you feel more inclined to actually live life and actually put your phone down? Like putting it out of sight or focusing on another device like a TV or your laptop. Those will actually make you put your phone down and not make you try to find loopholes to get around things. This is personally my experience with my phone addiction and breaking it. It is definitely a big roadblock in becoming a better version of yourself. Glow up tip number 5 is kind of optional, and it is to do your makeup every day. Like, you don't have to do your makeup every day, but on those days where you look in the mirror and you just like feel so ugly, doing your makeup can be such a big confidence booster. I suggest during your glow up period just to try to experiment. Try different makeup looks, different trends, different tips. Figure out what you like and what makes you feel good about yourself. Knowing what you like on your face and what you don't like on your face can be super beneficial on those days where you just feel really ugly. I have now perfected a 5-minute makeup routine that I can do really quickly and instantly feel so much more confident about myself. I know that a lot of people say that makeup is like you're catfishing or putting on a mask, or that it's not really going to help fix your insecurities. I personally strongly disagree with this. When I wear makeup consistently, I actually feel more confident without makeup. I kind of think of it like training my brain to view my face as beautiful. If something makes you feel better about yourself and more confident, do it. Even if you're just experimenting or trying new things at night and then washing it off before bed, using makeup as a tool to learn about yourself and view yourself differently can be such a great confidence booster. Glow up tip number 6 is to watch videos about confidence, self love, glowing up. I tracked my progress throughout my glow up, and on the days where I watched videos about confidence, I consistently felt more confident about myself. You don't have to watch these videos every day, but add them in when you need them. Sometimes you just need that little extra motivation and advice, that confident energy to make you feel confident. I suggest just going on YouTube and picking the ones you feel most drawn to. If you need help with what to search, some of the searches I've done are how to be confident, how to be that girl, how to be an it girl, how to love yourself, how to become your best self, how to glow up, obviously. Things along these lines will bring up the results you're probably looking for. If you want some specific suggestions, I highly recommend Fernanda Ramirez. I've been following her since before I started doing this glow up, but during this glow up, I found her podcast called A Better You. She basically talks about glowing up and becoming the best version of yourself. She always just makes me feel so good about myself, and I just love listening to her talk. And her main channel also has a lot of content about like confidence and loving yourself and being the best version of yourself and stuff like that. So, Fernanda Ramirez, highly recommend. Some of the videos I watched that I really liked were Get Hot by Becoming Your Own Beauty Standard, 30 Habits to Becoming a Better You. I watched other individual videos as well, but those are probably my 2 favorite ones. And if you're an introvert, I also recommend Meg Hughes. Hughes, I think I'm saying her last name right. I hope I'm saying her last name right. She does this series called The Introvert Diaries, and I absolutely love this series. It kind of makes me feel better about being an introvert. I have a lot of friends who are like extroverts and like going out and doing stuff. I have a lot of family members who are extroverts, and sometimes I just like don't really feel understood, or I feel like I'm not doing enough sometimes, or like my struggles are stupid. Watching her Introvert Diaries series just makes me feel more understood, and a lot of times like she challenges herself to do things and I'm like, if she can do it, like maybe I can do it. So if you're an introvert and you're looking for somebody just to like connect to and feel more understood, I highly recommend Meg Hughes. Number 7 is how to start exercising. When it comes to movement, you don't have to go to the gym or lift weights or go for like a mile run. Just do what feels good. As a girl who has always hated gym class and hates working out, this has been a struggle throughout my life. However, I learned that getting movement in ways that are fulfilling to me is so much better. I thought that after I exercised, I have to feel like super tired or I have to like feel sore the next day. You do not. Just to give you some examples of my own workout journey, I started doing yoga in high school because it helps with my anxiety. I now try to do yoga every day. I don't actually do yoga every day, but I do yoga most days. I started doing Daisy's bubble wet workout during quarantine. This was a popular one, so maybe you know of it, maybe you don't. I realized, like, oh, this is like a lazy girl workout. Like, I actually don't have to do much. And the results were great. I used to dance ballet in middle school, so I started following dance tutorials on YouTube, taking like little ballet classes. I started doing Just Dance for a while. This was actually a really intense period of time for me. Like, I played Just Dance every day for like hours at a time. So basically, what I'm saying is to find what fits into your life and what fuels you. What makes you feel good and what brings you joy. What will you look forward to doing rather than dread doing? When your physical activity brings you fulfillment, you're so much more likely to actually fit it into your day. So try different exercises, try different movement activities, see what you like, see what you don't like. I also suggest making a playlist on YouTube during your glow up period. That way you can like explore all these different exercises, and then the ones you like you could just like add to a YouTube playlist. You'll have like this nice organized playlist of all the exercises you enjoy. Very convenient. Glow up tip number 8 is boundaries. Set them and hold them. This is a much more difficult piece of advice to implement. I went on a women's retreat with my mom, and this is where I kind of learned this piece of advice. I realized how relaxed and good I felt when I just did things that I wanted to do. That sounds very selfish, I guess, but it eased my anxiety a lot to hold a boundary instead of letting people cross them or instead of letting myself cross them. I struggled with setting boundaries more than I thought I did, and I just felt so much like myself after the women's retreat, and I was like, I want to feel this way all the time. I want to feel this much of myself all the time. Learning to set my boundaries and not let them waver, not let people cross them, not let myself cross them, has actually helped my anxiety so much. And it's made me feel a lot more confident in myself too. For example, my friends often want to go out to restaurants on the busiest night of the week, or they want to go out to clubs or bars. And those environments just aren't for me. I don't enjoy them. I'm very uncomfortable in them. I used to force myself to push through these feelings and allow myself to sit in an uncomfortable environment. But the more I continued to do this, the more I started having panic attacks doing them. So now I just say, nope, I don't want to go out. I offer other suggestions. I assure people if they go without me, I'm not going to feel left out. But I've now become comfortable in holding that boundary. Those things aren't for me, and that's okay. I don't have to change who I am and try to do things that make me extremely uncomfortable just because other people want to do them. I'm not saying to stay in your bubble and shelter yourself. I think it's important to challenge yourself, but it's important to challenge yourself on your own terms. You should push yourself outside of your comfort zone, but do it in your own way, not on other people's terms. For example, during this glow up, I pushed myself by going to a women's retreat, going to art events, by going to the Renaissance Fair. I actually even did go to a club to go see the Bop to the Top event, which is where like Ryan from High School Musical goes and DJs old Disney songs. That was so much fun. Did I have anxiety in those situations? Yes. Did I have a little bit of discomfort here and there? Yes. But those are social events that I feel more inclined to be at. They are spaces where I can find the positives and the joy in them. And although I might be nervous and have a few anxious moments or a few uncomfortable moments, they're places I actually want to be. Clubbing and busy restaurants on Saturday nights. I don't want to be there. I don't like a single thing about them. I feel uncomfortable and anxious no matter how many times I do it, no matter who I'm with. It's just not an environment for me. A lot of people will tell you that exposure is the best way to get over things, but for me, a lot of times it makes it much worse. I mean, I used to go to high school every day and sit in the cafeteria every day, and every day I had a panic attack, and every day I struggled to eat my lunch. I had panic attacks so bad that I had to call my dad to pick me up sometimes because I literally couldn't get through the day. My point is, I know what I can handle and what I can't handle, and I know when I can handle things and when I can't. I know the spaces I want to be in and the spaces I don't. To give you a more general perspective on the advice I'm trying to give here, sometimes certain things aren't for you. When you set your boundaries clearly and push yourself in places that will actually help you grow instead of pushing you down, you will be far better off. So set your boundaries where you need to set them and hold those boundaries. If somebody disrespects your boundary, that's their problem, not yours. Set your boundaries and hold them. I've always found that big goals are so much more daunting than the daily short term goals. So many people suggest like you need to set long term goals. While this is a great tip, it's also very difficult to know how to achieve them and to navigate that. I didn't even know how to start approaching my big goals. Like they're big. What I started doing and what I'm going to suggest to you is to make a list of all these daunting long term goals. My list is literally called Big Goals. I have so many creative interests and projects that I want to focus on that a lot of times I forget about them. It's hard to keep track because I have so many goals. It gets very overwhelming and I'm not really sure like what to focus on, and I jump from this to that to this to that. So this big list of big goals helps me kind of break them down into smaller pieces and helps me figure out how to approach them. For example, I'm in the middle of producing an album right now, and I've really been struggling towards finishing it. So, what I've done is in my list of big goals, I kind of break down that album into everything I have left to do. That way, I have like little tasks, and then you can start checking off a bunch of little tasks and you start to feel a little more productive. You start to actually like see the progress you're making. However, organizing and breaking down your goals makes sense to you is how you should do it. To start actively working on them in your daily planner or habit tracker or whatever you're using, add something related to these goals. It's a good way to stay organized and work a little bit towards your long-term goals every day. Working on them for even half an hour a day will add up so quickly, and you'll probably be surprised how much you've progressed towards them. It just takes a lot of small steps. It's not like one giant step. Don't burn yourself out trying to achieve your long-term goals. It's not worth it. Take it step by step, day by day, little by little. You'll get there. Tip number 10 is find ways to stay productive and motivated. For me, like I said earlier with my screen time tips, it's really easy to get distracted and scroll through my phone instead of doing what I need to do. The first thing you should do when you have something you really don't want to do is to create a good environment. For example, when I'm trying to do my homework, I switch up my location a lot. When I get too used to doing a task in one place, I start to lose my motivation after a while. I used to do my homework at the kitchen counter, but when that didn't feel good, I moved to the dining room. And when the dining room didn't feel good anymore, I moved to the living room. Switch up your environment when you feel like your environment is no longer serving you. Another tip for motivation is to make your environment feel cozy and aesthetic. I like to light a candle or put an ambiance video in the background. I also like to set timers when I get really distracted. So if I notice I'm picking up my phone a lot, I'll put on a 10-minute timer to hyper focus for that amount of time. It also helps me because if my reflexes just go and pick up my phone in the middle of it, like I'll see the timer and be like, oh, right, I'm focusing for this 10 minutes, and I'll put it back down. And then I actually get a lot of work done. Usually when that timer is up, I keep focusing because, I want to like finish my thought or finish what I'm doing because you kind of get in the zone during that time. Tip number 11 is to stay flexible. I'm a major perfectionist, so if you're the same way, you might feel inclined to finish every single task on your list every single day. But sometimes plans come up and you won't do everything on your list. Sometimes you just don't feel good or you feel lazy. It's okay to listen to your body and stay lazy for a day. Do the foundational stuff and nothing else. Like wash your face, brush your teeth, take a shower, play video games or watch TV all day, or do whatever you need to do to feel good for that day and take that day for yourself. But don't let it get consistent or use it as an excuse. Like, don't say to yourself, well, I have to listen to my body and my body's telling me that I just want to sit on the couch all day, because that can snowball very quickly. But at the same time, if you really need a day to relax or your body just feels off or you just feel like you need a rest, take a day to relax and rest. We all need a day sometimes. This process is not perfect. It's not going to be linear. You're not going to have great days every day. You're not going to have bad days every day. You're going to have ups and downs even at your best. That is just life. There were days where I didn't feel good or I just felt really lazy, and I felt so guilty for taking those days and for like not completing all my tasks or not checking off all my habits on my habit tracking chart. And one of my friends would say, don't feel guilty for not feeling good. It's okay to take a lazy day to feel better. And she's right. And she would pull me out of my perfectionist mindset and remind me that it's okay to like take a day for myself. It doesn't make me a failure. My advice is to plan to do your tasks and your glow up every day, but when a day comes around where you just don't feel great, don't feel guilty for relaxing. Sometimes it's what you need, and it can be more beneficial to take a day than to try to push through it and burn yourself out or make it worse. Glow up tip number 12, which isn't really glow up advice, it's more just like general advice. I don't even know if it's like advice, it's just like a reminder, a little motivation, a little confidence boost. Having flaws doesn't mean that you're ugly or that something's wrong with you or that you need to glow up. Everyone has flaws and everybody feels insecure about something. Even people who you think are the most perfect people on the planet have insecurities about something, have flaws. For example, I've had to try to learn and am still trying to learn that my acne does not make me ugly. Recently, I see other girls with acne on like social media and stuff, and I think, oh my gosh, they're so pretty. And then I realize they have acne, and I'm like, see, they have acne and they're still so pretty. Like, your acne doesn't make you ugly. Having a flaw isn't something that you should be stressing over or hating yourself over, although, of course, we all still do. I don't remember what it was called, but there was this short story we read in one of my writing classes. Basically, this scientist is married to like this gorgeous woman, but she has this like birthmark on her face. She has this one little flaw, and the entire story, he like cringes at this one flaw. This beautiful woman has this one flaw, and if she just didn't have that flaw, she would literally be perfection. And so he goes crazy trying to like find a way to get rid of this flaw and find a way to fix her, basically. In the end, he ends up killing her over trying to fix this little flaw. And he does get rid of the flaw, but it costs her her life. So, moral of the story and this piece of advice basically, flaws are a part of nature. And everything in nature has its flaws. You don't necessarily have to love your flaws or love your insecurities, but learning to live with them instead of putting yourself down because of them can be really helpful and a really good mindset to have. Having that flaw doesn't make you any less beautiful, doesn't make you any less worthy. It's just something that exists. Your flaws don't devalue you. How you choose to view your flaws and how you choose to allow your flaws or your insecurities to control your life. That's what brings your value up or down. I don't remember what that story was called. I gotta figure that one out. I'll probably put it up here somewhere on the screen. It is great to want to become a better version of yourself, but perfection is impossible. Even if you become a better version of yourself, you're still gonna have flaws, you're still gonna have insecurities, you're still gonna have a couple problems, and that's okay. In the words of Hannah Montana, nobody's perfect. I gotta work it again and again to get it right. Every day, you gotta work every day on yourself, and still, nobody's gonna be perfect. You can't be perfection. It doesn't exist. It's okay to have flaws and insecurities. Living with them and alongside them is what we have to learn to do to not go crazy and hate ourselves. I think that kind of wraps up my 12 pieces of glow up advice. Again, as I said in the beginning, if some of the things I mentioned or some of the advice I gave didn't resonate with you, that's totally fine. Don't take it. Take what resonated with you and leave what didn't. I've also been thinking about like doing a different video on like a step-by-step process on how to become a better version of yourself or how to glow up. This is just my advice. It doesn't really take you through the step-by-step organizational stuff that I did. Organizing and planning is actually like one of my favorite parts of this kind of process. I love making charts and lists and plans, but I know a lot of people literally hate doing that and dread doing that. So if anybody wants like a step-by-step process to that, like let me know. I would love to share some kind of like template or list. I was actually recently looking for like a good daily planner, and they're all so bad. Like, I have such high standards for my organization. So I've actually been thinking about creating like a daily planner and publishing it with Amazon or something, literally just so that I can order my own planner because I don't like anyone else's. I'm probably going to do it anyways just so like I can order my own planner, but if anybody else would want a planner, it would be good to know that I'm not just doing it for me and for somebody else as well. I hope this video and the advice I provided was helpful and beneficial to you. I hope it gave you a good idea of where to start or how to approach a glow up. Maybe I gave you a new perspective or taught you something that you hadn't considered before. Thank you for watching, and go become the best version of yourself. You already have all the tools you need. You can do this. I believe in you. Until next time.